Welcome to another edition of Ian Cameron's Football Frenzy. It is CFL Week 4. Good to be back, Ian Cameron, and good to be back with a guest here this week on the show, and happy to invite former CFL receiver on the Ian Cameron's Football Frenzy show, Nate Behard, joining us. He was with the Ottawa Red Blacks most of his career, a little bit with Edmonton, back when they were still actually known as the Eskimos. So we're going back in time when it comes to Nate's time in Edmonton, but mostly with the Ottawa Red Blacks through his 7-8 year CFL career, and now he's with us here on the Frenzy. Nate, what's going on? How are you, my friend? Things good?
They're fantastic, Ian. I appreciate you for having me. Just enjoying a beautiful summer here in the nation's capital. Doesn't get much better, so I'm watching some World Cup, of course. So it's all good stuff around here.
No doubt, yeah. World Cup fever really around the world right now with that ongoing. But, before we get into CFL Week 4, first-time guests, we always like to do the little career retrospect, if you will, to talk about how things went for you. And obviously, when you look back at your playing days, obviously, Carleton University, 5th overall pick in the CFL draft back in 2017, couple years with Edmonton. The majority of your career, the lion's share of it with the Ottawa Red Blacks, 2019 through 2023, and then a stint at the end with the Montreal Alouettes. So first of all, the university days, Carleton. Talk about getting there and playing at the university level.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, my time in Carleton was super cool, super special. The year I came out of high school was the first year the program was back for 20 some odd years. So it was really, really neat. It's not often you get to sort of start a program, be there at the start of it and be a part of, the building blocks of putting it all together. So I look back on that time. I mean, some of the best friends I still have in life is that time. We played some good football. We had some heartbreaks, as you always do in sports, but it was really cool getting to be on a team that got our butt kicked, a bunch of kids in year one, to, being a Yates semifinalist and kind of, early preseason, like being up there, really, really fighting for it, to, beating the Western, being one of those teams that people started to fear, which was a really cool spot, and obviously helped to propel me on. So all good.
And then to the CFL with Edmonton. Who was the coach when you were there with Edmonton? Was that Jones?
That was Mr. Moss. That was Jason Moss. Yes. So Jason Moss was my first and last head coach. So I'm a very lucky man. Pretty cool to see, because he also grew a crap ton in that time. So seeing him in both bookends was pretty cool to think back on.
Yeah, I always like doing my Chris Jones impression. Yeah, so what do we have to do to be a good football team? The Southern drawl, that he had. Yeah, he was something else. But yeah, Edmonton and then Ottawa. And now look, Ottawa. It's some tough times. I mean, the franchise went through some tough years when you were there. But and it's funny, we had Will Arndt is a regular good friend of mine. Actually, he's been on this show many times. Has become a regular guest, semi-regular guest the last couple of years. I know teammate of yours as well with the Ottawa Red Blacks, but still, I mean, I think Ellingson played there for a bit when you were there. Obviously, they've gone through. I've lost count of how many quarterbacks that franchise has had over the last 6-7 years. But tell us about the Ottawa years a little bit.
I think I played with over 5 years, 4 seasons, because obviously we lost the 1 year. I think I played with 13 or 14 quarterbacks in those 4 years, which is pretty mental. So it was a lot. I mean, I love this city. Obviously being a Carleton guy, not from here, but I pretty much.
It's great for variety, but it really fucking sucks for continuity.
Does it ever? It was a lot of different coaches, different personalities, and it's just it was obviously tough. I still wouldn't trade much of it. Obviously, I would trade some stuff for some W's and some wins, some playoffs, and all that goodness. But a lot of different quarterbacks, a lot of ups and downs, and never really felt like my personal career got started too much. I think there's a solid year in 21 or 22. I always forget nowadays. Now I'm getting older. But it just never really felt like we got to get out of second or third gear. But I love this place. I want this team to really, pick it back up and get rolling.
Well, 2021, I'm looking at the numbers because I'm looking at the stats from your career. That was the good year. That was a really good year there for you. 439 yards. You had 34 receptions that season. You even played a little quarterback, because that's got to be one of those moments that you'll take with you for the rest of your life, that you, in an absolute pinch, had to play quarterback because all your quarterbacks were basically banged up and out due to injuries. Matt Nichols was there at the time. He was one of them that was out. Tell us about that. That's pretty crazy shit right there.
Yeah, that was the I think that was the year before my best. I think 22 was the best personal year, but I think that 21 year was crazy. I mean, our first year with Lapo was head coach. It was back when the league, we'd only dress 2 quarterbacks. Pretty much every team would only dress 2 quarterbacks. And Matt had been banged up. He had a shoulder issue. Dom Davis was playing. I forget who started. I think Dom started because Matt's shoulder wasn't great, but Matt was dressing. Dom had a hamstring full tear on a scramble off to the right side, right in front of our bench. And I was like, oh shoot. Matt came in and was, Matt's a gamer. He's a winner. He's one of the best teammates I've ever been around. He scrambles at the middle, tries to, fight for hard yardage to get it to 3rd and 1, lowers that injured shoulder, boom, pops it out. We couldn't believe it. And I was like, okay, 3rd down. I have no idea what level we're at, but I'm like, okay, it's 3rd and 1. I know how to take snaps. And coach like, hey, get in there for the QB sneak. I think I got in there. I don't know if we missed the sneak or if there's a penalty or something, but either way, we kind of gave up the ball. Or I think maybe there was a penalty and we ended up kicking the field goal. And then someone on the sideline and they're like, coach is like, we got to get him a helmet. Like, I need to be able to talk into his helmet. And I was like, oh, they're hurt. So yeah, they're both in the locker room, man. Like, this is it. And I was like, okay. I called the receivers in and said, boys, no matter what happens, this is going to be one of the funniest stories you ever have in your pro football career. So if you don't want me to throw you the ball, put your hand up now. Otherwise, I'm pump faking everything. And we're throwing that thing deep, and we're just going to see what the hell happens because this is never going to happen again. Let's go have some damn fun. And then, regrettably, it was a pouring rain. I think there's a fumble on a return or something like that. Because the crazy thing was a 1-score game. It was like an absolute slugfest, nonsense, torrential downpour. It was 1-score game, so we're like, hey, we got to go for it. Lapo comes over and goes, Nate, it's pro football. We got to try to win. I was like, yeah, of course. I was like, just let me run no huddle. I know all the reads. I can do all that stuff. That's easy. And then we fumbled. They scored again, and all of a sudden it was kind of like a 12-point game with like 3 minutes. It was kind of like, okay. So we just kind of ran it through a screen and all that. But there was a moment where I was like, obviously in my head, I'm seeing the band march in and getting carried off into the stadium after a game-winning drive. It's all happening. But either way, it's still pretty darn funny.
Pretty amazing. Yeah. Like I said, that's just one of those stories you'll be able to think back to it 20 years from now and say, still, it's pretty crazy that something like that happened and I was involved in it. But yeah, amazing stuff there with that. Yeah, I'm just seeing it. You're right. 2022 was the biggest numbers you put up. 59 receptions, 727 receiving yards that year. In 2022, the following season with the Ottawa Red Blacks, you had a couple of really good seasons there, even though the team on the field had some struggles as far as wins and losses were concerned. But overall, when you look at it, boy, oh boy. By the way, Paul LaPolice, I've got who is doing a great job right now as an analyst on TSN. Is really good in the booth. TSN stole that from me. I'm the one that first came up with whoop, whoop. That's the sound of LaPolice. Whoop, whoop. That's the sound of a beast. I came up with that. I was doing that before the TSN studio people started it.
I love it.
I need to get my credit for that, man. I do. Seriously. Look, you go back and watch this show 3 years ago. I was singing that. And TSN didn't even clue in to start doing that yet. Yeah. Studio. So
that's how it'll go, eh? Those TV folk. I know. Those TV folk.
I know. At least I'm actually glad they figured it out. I mean, I'm just like, how the hell did it take you so long to figure that one out? If you're any sort of old school hip hop fan, man, you clue into that right away doing that.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, and then you ended the career with Montreal. When you look back on your CFL career, Nate, how do you look on it? Look back on it. Doesn't matter what people think.
Yeah.
What do you think? How do you look back on your CFL career?
I mean, I think as I get older, I like to look at the things that I should have done differently and could have done better and all that good stuff. And there's plenty. I mean, there's ways I used to work that maybe I didn't work towards the end, or there's ways I didn't approach it, or ways I let stuff outside of my control kind of get to me and frustrate me and maybe change how hard or not I worked, or the type of teammate I was. And that stuff will sit with you. But I mean, I'm not, at the end of the day, it's not life or death. But, one of the reasons when I went to Montreal, I think it was like the third or fourth week there, I texted my fiance and I was like, yeah, no, I'm retired for good after this one. Not because there's anything wrong with football. It's still fun. It's such a blessing and honestly so lucky. But just after a while, the shine of it kind of wore off. And it's something you really got to commit all the way to. And I think I just, with how life went and some other stuff I got into in the great way, and entrepreneurship, and all that stuff, it was just kind of pulled me out of it. So, I mean, I'm very, very proud of myself. I know that so much of this sport, so much of every sport is time and place.
And you went out on your own terms, which is a great thing. Not everybody gets that luxury as a player to be able to say, you know what, I've had enough. I'm ready for the next challenge in life. I'm ready for the next, opportunity outside of playing. You had that opportunity to say, you know what, I'm ready to move on to the next thing.
Without a doubt. I'm very, 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 very lucky. I wouldn't change much, honestly. I wish that 13 quarterbacks was maybe like 3 or 4, but other than that, there's not a lot I would have changed, because holy hell, it was a fun time.
No question. And like I said, and they're still cycling through quarterbacks like a Rolodex here with Ottawa this year with the team, which we'll get to in a moment. We'll obviously talk the Drew Brown trade. We will get to that in just a little bit. But turning over to talking this year, the CFL season that is, before we get into, usually the way we do this show is we'll talk about the team that's on the bye week first, that isn't playing, which just happens to be my Hamilton Tiger Cats. I'm very happy with their performance, obviously, last week against BC. So we'll talk about them. They're the team on bye, and then we'll get into the week 4 games. But first, just overall thoughts, Nate. You still follow the league closely. You still watch it as much as you can. Just what are some things that have stuck out to you through the first 3 weeks?
Yes, I do. I haven't got to see every game this year. I'm usually by this point I've seen every game. I got my other screen here looking at the score. I'm trying to think which I've missed. But I think one of the things that stands out to me is I got to knock on. I might have to go get some wood from the garage to make sure I can knock on all of it. But quarterback play so far has been fantastic, which is awesome to see. That's kind of that actually might be 1B. I think 1A. I have to say, is holy shit, it's fantastic to see all these Canadian receivers going crazy. I mean, it's like every game you watch, it's like the leading. It's fantastic. I don't know if there was it's a combination of a lot. The talent that's coming out is incredible. I also think there's a part of it of coaches realizing, holy shit, if we can get more out of these guys. Like there's a lot of value here. There's just so much good stuff. So I think, like we're talking about, scoring is up, quarterback play is going great. The Canadian receivers are going fantastic. That's the biggest stuff that I'm seeing. I'm excited about that. I hope that it can continue. I hope people stay healthy, because this momentum is going to be key. I think with the changes that we know are coming up in the next few years, like to stay just keep a positive on-field product that's really like generating excitement, I think is going to go so far.
You're spot on about the receivers and the talent at the wide receiver spot in this league right now. It's just utterly ridiculous. Tyson Philpott, what he continues to do with my guy Dave, and I'm good friends with Dave Davis, has been on this show multiple times. Davis Alexander, and like that connection with them in Montreal has been something else. And not to mention Tyler Sneed, who's been on that Montreal team. He's been great. My guy Kenny Lawler. I mean, the guy is making spectacular catches. And you know what's great about Kenny Lawler is he's making an impact for the Ticats even when he doesn't catch the football, because he draws so much attention from the opposing secondary that it opens up a guy that I think he's phenomenal. Keandre Smith, man, from University of Guelph. This guy is flat out balling right now. I know Kenny Lawler gets the accolades and the headlines when it comes to the Ticats receiving core, but one of the reasons we have a deep receiving core is because Keandre Smith half the time plays like a number 1. He's been that excellent for us.
Absolutely. It's crazy. I mean, remember Keandre coming out of Guelph, and first couple games he started making plays. It was like, okay, this is a fun little fluke, good, like nice little beginner's luck, because he's not the physical specimen that you expect to sort of perform, especially
not the height and stature that you typically see at a receiver spot. Yeah,
exactly. 100%. I think especially for Canadian receivers, I think so often the Canadian receiver spots, the roster spots, the starters and stuff like that go to the bigger bodies. You think about the Brads and Fantus of the day. You have Tommy Neal, which is kind of the two of them 2.0. You have the bigger guys because they're going to be able to contribute in other ways, get dirty in the box, all that stuff. Because to be that smaller speed guy, and to his credit, Keandre does add in on the box. He bombers in. He does the brick block coming across on D lineman and stuff like that, which is awesome to see. But yeah, I would not have said if I had a crystal ball years ago when he came in the league that he was going to have this sort of impact. And it's awesome to see. I think he's like you said, obviously having a Kenny Lawler and then is a huge thing. And you got to also give so much credit to guys like Bo. I mean, Bo is like that. I would say Trevor Harris is a guy like that too, where he doesn't care what your passport is. They're not looking at who you are or what you do. They're putting the ball in a spot. And if you can get there on time, you can be running around on one leg. As long as you're where they need you to be at the right time, they're going to put it there for you. And it's an awesome thing to see.
Yeah, no question about that. And there's another guy that's been on this show a bunch. One of the great friends of mine, Trevor Harris. Man, is there a better guy than Trevor Harris?
No,
seriously,
there is
they're not. I mean, my goodness, he's just he's great, and I'm amazed, man. And that's another thing that one of the things that I'm impressed with is the guy's 40. Okay, he's basically 1 year younger than me. I'm 41. So I'm getting up there too. And he has still kept him and I know he's kept himself in great shape and condition because he's told me, he's told the viewers on this show when he's been on just how fucking hard he works in the off season. And how he's working with this quarterback, with this throwing motion. He's constantly working on that. He's constantly fiddling with it so that he can continue to evolve and improve and make throws at a high level at this age, at this later stage of his career. Like I can't believe how accurate, pinpoint he's been so far this season. And you have to get him off the spot if you're going to have any success shutting him down. If 100%. You don't get a pass rush going and he's got time to just survey down the field, set his feet, step up in the pocket and make throws. He has got the pinpoint accuracy to a science that he's just going to pick you apart. And he's done that here in the 2 games so far.
110%. I mean, I think the thing that is it's so interesting. It's interesting and maddening. Again, 13 quarterbacks in 4 years, I'll say. But it's so interesting and so maddening is that football is, especially the quarterback position, in so many ways it's mathematics, it's science. It's a very simple, there's an input, and then you decide your output. The input is what coverage they're in, what defense they're in, how they're going to rotate, what they're going to do, what your read is, what your set is, all that good stuff. And it's just so obvious when you see a guy like Trevor that's a mathematician. That is somebody who understands that 2 + 3 times this carry the 1, and all of a sudden, this is where this ball needs to go at this time. And guys like that are always going to have success as long as they're given a chance, right? Because I mean, it's not always perfect, if there's a pass rush, if you don't have that protection up front, if you don't have a running game, there are obviously variables you can't control even as the quarterback. But given the right situation, a guy like that is always going to have success so long as they can stay upright. I mean, 40 is insane. It's so impressive what Trev's doing. But as long as he can keep moving just enough, he's going to have a chance.
Well, one thing's for sure, he's backing up everything he told me. That he says, I still got a couple of good years left in me, which is exactly what he said to me. And I'm like, well, I said, I'm not going to say shit. I mean, if you believe it, and I'm not going to doubt it. Yeah. I know how hard you're working. And I just said, I wish you luck. I mean, I see what you're doing. I mean, you just won the Grey Cup, man. You had a great season last year. Why the hell would you stop playing? If you feel good, I guess the reason, Nate, that he'd stop playing is if he doesn't feel like he wants to put in the off-season work that you need, right? Totally. To be at your best. That's when you stop. When you feel like, I've done this enough where I don't feel like I got it in me to do another off-season and push myself that hard in the off-season to keep playing. But from a performance standpoint, absolutely a no-brainer for him to keep playing, and he is.
Without a doubt. Yeah, I think that when it comes to football, it's injuries in your body, how your body's feeling, and then I think that second one is just, which I think is to your point, is that fire still there? I mean, you watch young kids, and like I was talking about Montreal when I knew I was done, was you're watching the younger kids, and you're watching folks that this means a lot to them, as it should. There's nothing more beautiful in the world than caring about stuff. I absolutely love it. But when you can feel other people feeling, they're at a 9 or a 10 out of 10 in terms of how much this means, and you're floating in that 5-6 range, and I think that the self-aware folks, that's another reason where free people will go, you know what? Hey, maybe my time's done, which is totally okay. Let's leave it to the folks who are gonna break a leg for this. Literally, who when they say I'll die out here, they mean it. It's been a long time since I've been able to say, hey, I'll die out in this field for you, fella. Like, no, that was not happening. That was not happening. This is a game, and we're very, very lucky to play it. So that's just how it goes. And he's got the performance down, so he'll be all right.
So Nate loves CFL, but he's a proud Canadian. That's also why he loves the CFL. And you talk about it. He didn't just mention one of the things I want to talk about, Ian, is the receivers. No, he mentioned Canadian receivers. And I want to say something about the Canadian receivers because I know it's only through week 3, but I'm looking at the leading receiving yards in the league, and it's Canadian. I mean, the Canadians are ruling the roost right now. Yeah. It's unbelievable. I'm like Philpott. I see Schaefer Baker on there. He's been great so far. Kevin Mittal. Now, unfortunately, I hate the Argos, but I would never want to see anybody get injured. And that injury to Kevin Mittal was very unfortunate over the weekend against Ottawa, but he's had a great start. DeAndre Smith, we talked about, Canadian. Justin McGinnis, BC Lions, Canadian. Sam Emelis, Saskatchewan, Canadian. Tommy Neal, the McMaster product, and now with the Winnipeg Blue Bombers, he's having a good start to the year. I would say count him up. There's out of the top 12 receivers in the league right now, as far as receiving yards, Nate, I would say 8, 9 at least of them are Canadian.
Yeah, it's honestly it's incredible. I don't know how to say it. I mean, it's incredible as well because the thing that's stood out to me is that it's a wide range of body types of receivers, which means that coaches are getting more open to the types of bodies they'll play and the types of guys they're going to give targets to. I mean, Tyson has built like your traditional speed slot / X in you know, if we're talking about the US game, which before, and similar to Keandre, that would never be a body type or a profile that you would let a Canadian play in. You know, there's been incredibly successful, like guys that were so much more talented than I ever was at the U Sports level that maybe just weren't big enough to get in there and muck it up, who never got a chance because we're not going to give you those targets when that could go to some dude who played at LSU or wherever. And then you also have the fact that it's guys who, the other thing that I love is it's not just guys who came out of the gates firing. Like Tommy Neal took time to get there. You know, Kean's had so many injuries. I mean, Kean showed insane flashes since he got in the league, which is why he's had that leash with his injuries. But Tommy Neal's one of my favorite stories ever. Like that guy was, if you would give me, you know, 1,000-to-1 odds, I would still have bet that's a teamer. You know, that's a 7-year teamer who's going to be a, you know, coach's best friend, and that's great. He's gonna have a great career, and he has found this productivity that is just, it's so fantastic to watch. And he obviously works his freaking ass off. I've talked to guys that play with him in the Argos and stuff like that, who, you know, say that he was such a hard worker, a great kid, all that good stuff. So that's one of the things I love the most. And also U Sports products are in there as well. Obviously, there's a couple of guys, McInnes, who are, you know, from the NCAA as Canadians, but mostly U Sports products, which is also cherry on top.
You mentioned the special teams life, or that brings back memory, or reminds me of your longtime teammate in Ottawa when you played there, Marco Dubois, man.
Oh, yeah.
You talk about special, and man, he's made some great special teams plays. I remember that poor guy, he tried to stop, I think it was a kick return against Toronto, and they ended up scoring. But the effort he gave to try to stop it, like he's hustling it down, and he just came up short. I mean, but it was all out hustle.
Oh, yeah.
Try to get there and stop him. Like that's the kind of effort you love to see.
Yeah, Marco's he's a specimen. He's a specimen. He had one in Hamilton actually against the Ticats. I'll never forget. I think it was second or third quarter. Kickoff return touchdown that was a walk-in. I forget his name. 30, I think it was 36 or 26 years. He played field corner and he returned kicks. And yeah, Marco hawked him down like I've never seen. It looked like a cheetah in the wild hunting down some prey. And he did that his whole career. I'm super excited he's back in Montreal. I mean, I know it means a lot to him to be back in Quebec and stuff like that. And obviously things happen. You know, the league is the league.
And I'm sure it wasn't easy when you've spent so much time and with one team, one city, one organization. That is obviously a very tough day for him. But for him to bounce back, get up the opportunity with Montreal, very good team. I'm sure he's in a good spot right now.
And Jason Moss knows how to use guys with skill sets. There's few coaches as good as Jason that seeing something that someone can do special and finding a way to get that into a game plan. So Marco's going to get lots of touches. He's already got some catches this year, but he'll have a couple wheels or throwbacks. You'll see at least one or two deep balls to Marco before the year is done. I can guarantee that.
Yeah, no question. Yeah, has been involved with the Alouettes offense a little bit, which is nice to see. No, there's no question. All right, before we get to week 4, we always talk about the team on the bye week to start, and it is the Ticats, of course. 1-1 start. 2-1 now, I should say, after the win against the BC Lions. Back-to-back wins after a very impressive win in Winnipeg as well before the week before that. And really, they are a bad second half against the Montreal Alouettes away from being 3-0, this Hamilton team. I mean, they had that game, they were up by double digits second half. You give Davis Alexander credit. You got to put that guy away. You got to step on his throat, and I say that with all respect because he's a good friend of mine. You got to put that bastard away, man. He will end up just hurting you if you let him hang around. And Hamilton found that out. He leads the drive to get the game to overtime, and of course they win it in overtime. Unfortunate because I like Carrick Wheatfall to pick up from Winnipeg, but had a tough turnover there in overtime, and Montreal is able to just kick the field goal. But what a bounce back after that really tough week 1 loss at home. And I couldn't believe Larry Roundtree ran the football like he did against Winnipeg. And Winnipeg, we'll get to them in a minute when we talk their game against Edmonton. Their run defense is something to be a little concerned about here through these first couple weeks. And I'll throw out the stats that back that up. But Hamilton was able to run the ball. Bo Levi Mitchell, finding Lawler, finding Keandre Smith, that dynamic duo against Winnipeg. And then it carried over into the game against BC, where BC with that's now 2 weeks in a row, Nate, where the BC Lions secondary has been you can't find them with a telescope on the football field. They've been absolutely torched. Trevor in Saskatchewan did a number on that secondary, and then it was times 10 of that with Bo and the Ticats. I mean, it was really rough. It was rough to see the penalties. It was rough to see the loss of coverage, not locating the football, not tracking it in the air, letting receivers get behind you. over and over and over again. I mean, it's got to be sickening tape for poor Mike Benavides there, the defensive coordinator, to have to go over after a game like that. But you got to credit the Hamilton offense. They are that damn explosive.
Yep.
They have a great receiving core. I was concerned like crazy, Nate, about their offensive line because 3 of their starters were freaking, rated by Ed Irving, who was in the Hamilton organization.
Yep.
Goes to Edmonton. He took 3 of our linemen with him to the Elks. And I said, well, we got to break in 3 new starters, and where's the continuity? But the O-line's impressed me so far. They've come together and quicker than I thought. They've done a great job protecting Bo Levi Mitchell. BC's cutting all kinds of defensive line players because they just couldn't get a pass rush on Bo at any point last week. And maybe you blame the BC defensive front, Nate, but you got to give Hamilton's offensive line credit for giving Bo Levi Mitchell the time. So I can't complain too much. Other than a bad second half against Montreal, we're this close to being 3-0. I like what I see. The biggest concerns I had were the defense. Julian Hauser's given us a pass rush, carrying over from a great season he had last year. I was worried about losing Deshaun Amos. I was worried about losing Jonathan Moxey, a couple of our guys in the secondary. And Jamal Peters didn't even play last week, and we were still able to defend pretty well against Nate Rourke and the Lions. I got to admit, I'm a pleasantly surprised and happy Ticats fan at 2-1, almost 3-0, Nate, because we never do this shit. We never start seasons well. For the longest time, year after year, we've gotten off to these horrible starts in the month of June. It's pretty damn refreshing to see us 2-1 after 3 games.
Without a doubt. I think the nicest thing about a good start, especially with points on the board, not just wins, like not grind them out ugly ones, but real solid wins with explosiveness, with great football to watch, is, come football weather, come, Labor Day. Hopefully that just means easier tickets, easier job for those folks, pick up the phone calls, trying to sell tickets to folks, because there's nothing better than seeing Tim Hortons, seeing it packed, so we want to see it. I think, yeah, I mean, looking at the team, I think we know offense is kind of helps to win championships a little bit more in the CFL than in most places, but your defense cannot be a liability. It cannot be an anchor. If your offense can take off, your defense can't be the thing trying to, stopping the engine from getting started. And I think that, like you said, with the change in the defensive backfield, it hasn't really shown too much. Hauser's a freak. Watching tape when he was in Calgary, when he was in Hamilton, every time I ever played him, an absolute freak. People play him off the ball. He puts his hand in the dirt. He's difficult. And Reggie Stubblefield as well, in there playing Sam, coming over from Montreal and things like that. Like there's a lot of talent that it's just, like I said, it's the war of attrition. It's the battle of the CFL. Is all those damn weeks. Can they stay healthy and just keep on stacking?
That's going to be the key moving forward. No question about that. All right, we've got about 30 minutes to dive into week 4 here, which we will do right now. We'll begin with Thursday night football. This is the CFL is finally back to the weekly slate that I like, that they did for a lot of last year before the NFL season started. From June until September, when the NFL started, they put a game on Thursday night, Friday night, Saturday night, Sunday night. And I was wondering, what the hell are we doing here these first couple of weeks? That was such a great schedule layout. And for the first 2 weeks, it's been all over the place. You got Thursday games, Friday games, Saturday games, nothing yet on Sunday. We had the triple header last week. They loaded up Saturday for some reason last week. But now it's back to the way I want it, Nate. Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. You got a game each night. I think that's great. For the CFL fan. And we'll start week 4 with Edmonton and Winnipeg. We got the Blue Bombers 3-point home favorites, 55 the total currently here in this one. When you look back years going back, the point spread here is going to look cheap, right? It's Winnipeg -3 at home at that great home field that they have there, Princess Auto Stadium, as they now call it. And off a bye week for the Bombers, so extra time to prepare for Mike O'Shea and his crew, and off a loss that's not going to sit well with them, because 2 weeks ago they lost at home to my Hamilton Tiger Cats, did not play particularly well. Brady Oliveira was held in check. You got to give Hamilton's defense credit, and Hamilton had their way. I think what was more concerning about Winnipeg 2 weeks ago, their last game before the bye, Nate, is it's not so much that Bo did what he did in the passing game. It's that Hamilton ran the football down Winnipeg's throat in that game with Larry Roundtree. And I'm not taking away from Larry Roundtree. There's a reason he won the #1 running back job with us in training camp. He's a pretty good player. But I know Scott Milanovic well. I've seen him going back to the Toronto days as head coach. I've seen him now 2 years with the Titans. That guy does not want to run the football. Okay? He doesn't. And for Hamilton to have that kind of success running the football against Winnipeg, that's a damn concern. I don't care what you say, because Hamilton's not even, I think, the most fluid run game in the league because they don't always commit to it. Not a chance. Well, here's the Winnipeg stats to back up how concerned I am with the run defense so far. Through the first 2 games of this season, they are allowing 5.7 yards per carry. 5.7, that's second last in the CFL on yards per carry allowed so far this season. They are giving up 342 rushing yards in 2 games combined to their opponent. That's a 171 rushing yards per game allowance for the Winnipeg run defense. And the reason, and you think, well, hold on now, Ian, it's a passing league. What do you care so much about this? It's because I care about this because of who they're playing here on Thursday night. Mark Killam's team, and give him credit, and give Edmonton's offense credit. Jordan Maximic, nice offensive coordinator here with Edmonton. He said, we like Cody Fajardo, but who doesn't? He's a gamer. He's a competitor. He can run when he has to. He can be accurate with the football down the field. He spreads the ball around. But if we're going to be a truly great offense, we can't ask Cody to throw it 40 times a game at this stage. We have to have a balance. We have to have a focus on the run game, especially when we have a hell of a freaking talent at running back in Justin Rankin. What this guy has done in 2 weeks, and I had the freaking, thank goodness I had a little bit of smarts before the season, Nate, to put a couple shekels at plus 2,200 on Justin Rankin MOP this season, because I kind of saw it coming, Nate, because everything coming out of Edmonton was they were going to commit to run the ball this year. They wanted him to be not just a bit of they want him to be the focal point of this Edmonton Elks offense. And not only has he been that, but he has delivered. The numbers he is putting up is astonishing on the run game so far this season from Justin Rankin. I've got it right here now. He has got 281 rushing yards and averaging 9.1 yards per carry this season. That's insane. 9 yards per rush for Justin Rankin.
I think they've already had their bye, right? It's only in 2 games.
That's only 2 games. Yeah.
And if I'm not mistaken, I think he's also got some receiving yards. Like I think there's been a couple plays that he's broke out. That first game against Ottawa, I think it was. Like there was a couple screens or checkdowns that he's great catching the ball. He's one of the best running backs I've seen. I think there's this
all-purpose. 10 receptions, 145 receiving yards so far this year for Rankin.
That's just it's crazy. Wow. He's it's what a weapon to have. So and their OC Jordan Maximic, I was with him in Edmonton as well. He's a QB coach when I started there. He's been with Jordan Moss for a while. He's a brilliant mind. And so it's simple, like how do we get these guys the ball in space? How do we take advantage of the defense and their weaknesses and put people in space to try to make tackles and something like that? Because I don't know what the answer is. I don't know how you can stop a guy like that without committing people to it. And then they do have ball players behind him. You got Keon behind him. You have skill. You obviously have Austin Mack behind him to then put the ball downfield. And I think that's where Cody's the best. I mean, even you think about Montreal, the year they won the Grey Cup, it was the ability to run the ball. It was the ability to then play action, the ability to run your zone, hit a screen, run an outside zone, play action, hit a cross over the middle. Now we one on the outside. And that's where this offense stems from and where it's going to be its best. And that's from a philosophical level. And then you have the horses to make it happen. Boom. I mean, he's going to go crazy. I would love to see another 1,000 guy. I don't know if it's going to happen.
I mean, he's got real potential for it. Man. He really does. He's got real potential to make that a reality here in 2026. I mean, it's impressive. And it's the biggest matchup fear that I have for the Bombers here on Thursday night. Like their run defense has been, I'm not saying I expected it to be great, but I didn't expect it to be this fucking bad either. Like this is just, that's 141 per game you're allowing on the ground. And now you're facing the running back that's been just running amok over everybody so far in the first couple of games. And what's amazing too, is I've got this stat too about Rankin, is that many of his yards come after first contact. This guy's ability to just break play, make things happen even after he first gets hit is amazing. After contact, 126 of his rushing yards have been after first contact. That's almost half of his rushing yards after first contact.
It's a defensive coordinator's nightmare. That's a nightmare. You get a body on somebody and they go running for another.
Barry Sanders stuff right there. Yeah.
Is it ever? Yeah, that's a great one. I'm interested to see how the Bombers do. I mean, they just looked off in the last game against Hamilton.
What are you seeing from Zach? Because I want to ask you about this. Zach to me has been less and less decisive. Late last year, carrying into this year, some of that age is some of that, the wear and tear, the mileage on the body piling up. Is it just maybe the receiving core? Is it a scheme? Is it the coordinator? Or is it just one of these deals where his mobility is not what it once was? I think there's a lot of things you could say, but clearly it's Zach in, I don't want to say it. I'm not going to use the W word, washed. I'm not going there yet with Zach. I've got to see more before I'm going there. But there's no doubt we have seen some wear and I'll use the D word, decline. We've seen some decline in him at the very least.
I'm trying to see because who's is it the same offensive coordinator? I want to make sure that it's.
Now that's the thing. They fired Hogan last year. Jason Hogan was the offensive coordinator.
It's Tommy.
And they got Tommy Condell reunited with.
Okay. Yeah.
And Tommy Condell. Another thing that bothered me when he was with Hamilton years ago, he's allergic to running the ball. Allergic to it. Now he's got Brady. And my fear coming into the year, Nate, was that wait a minute, you couldn't run the football. You never ran the football ever. Did you want to run the football in Hamilton? Well, you got Brady Oliveira. If you can't figure out to run the football now, you never will.
Yeah. It's hard to say. It was with Zach. Tommy's an enigma as well. I mean, Tommy's best years have been when he's had the strong arm quarterback,
right,
with some studs at receiver that could make it happen. I mean, if you think back to run and shoot chaos of Masoli and Brandon Banks and things like that, and it was just hitting that field out and doing all the things to really capitalize on the way the Canadian game works. And I mean, I think it's somewhat complex as well. Not that that's going to be an issue for Zach, but when you do have so many new bodies of receivers and you don't have your Lawlers as much anymore, and for some reason we're not throwing Nick 7 corners every game, which just seems like a cheat code. It's like throwing corners and seam balls to Nick Dempsey. It feels like a cheat code you can't even do in Madden. But for some reason, it's just not happening right now as much as it should be. I think they're going to be fine. I think as long as Zach is healthy, to me, it doesn't seem like he's fallen apart. I just think that it's a new offense, a different offense. The team has just shifted. I just feel like there's just this glow and aura, one might say, around that W, around that navy or royal blue. So we kind of expect one thing out of them, but so much of what
I think there's a lot of long in the tooth showing. Forget Zach for a minute. I'm talking about long in the tooth in the offensive line a bit too. Stanley Bryant's been around forever. He's a great left tackle. I mean, all-star all these years, but he's not getting any younger now. He's up there now. A lot of those guys are on that Winnipeg offensive line. So I wonder if that unit, that pass protecting, run blocking unit, is maybe on a little bit of a downward trajectory too.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see because I mean he threw for what he threw for over 400 I think against Hamilton before the bye. So it's not that it's not working, it's just it's not as dominant. And I also do think I probably should have led with this. I think that the biggest decline has been their defense. I think we've seen that for the last few years, and as an offensive team that for damn near half a decade, if not more, we would see being such fortuitous positions and just capitalize and then take the life out of people and just, bleed them dry because they're the complementary nature of the football team, because Willie's going to get a tip pick, because Biggie's going to go get a sack or tip something up into he's playing cover 2, make a pick, all that stuff all work together. So I don't actually necessarily think that their offense and Zach is like the thing to ring an alarm bell about too much at all. I just think that it's really difficult for an offense if your defense is leaking. It's just you're not getting the ball at the 45 or the 50 every time. You're getting it back at your 20. Or just, it all stacks. And you can have an all-world quarterback. You could have Zach Claus in his best year ever, and without a defense that's picking up their side of the ball, you're not going to look superhuman anymore.
And they're not. You're right. The run defense and the pass defense has been, was obviously a problem for that. It was actually a problem against Calgary too. And Calgary turned around. They struggled with their secondary against Calgary and VA in the first game, the Stamps. Calgary turned around against Saskatchewan last week, and I don't think their offense was great by any stretch. Let's not forget they had a sack fumble on Harris, set him up with a short field, and then they had the kick return touchdown right before halftime, the missed field goal return for a touchdown. right before half. Other than that, it wasn't a great offensive day for Calgary against Saskatchewan. Yet that same offense was able to roar through Winnipeg, the week before that. So I am worried about that Winnipeg defense. I said this last week. Am I wrong? But I said, I love Willie Jefferson. How can you not? He's going to the Hall of Fame when his career's over. Unbelievable pass rusher and motor, the master of the pass knockdown, the PDU, pass or PBU, pass breakup. Nobody does it better than him. And Serezna, I met at a Grey Cup festival in Hamilton a couple of years. Great man. Really, really good guy. A great player. It got after, and he's been great for the Bombers. So Serezna and Jefferson, I love on that D-line. But outside of that, I'm looking for playmakers, Nate, on this defense. I'm not seeing a ton of them so far.
Yeah, it'll be interesting. I mean, I think Evan Holmes is a superstar. I think he's one of the best DBs in this league. He's playing. I believe he's still playing field halfback over there right now. So, but where else are the bodies? It's just like I said, it's missing a little bit of that royal blue aura. But I think if they can figure that out, I think Edmonton's a good game for that, because as much as Edmonton has been solid, they're going to be a grinded out team. They're not going to be the high flying, run up 40 points on too many people. I think that's by design as well. That's not because they don't want, like they can. I think that's just by design. And so I do still like Winnipeg in a game like this personally. I would say I think it's the right kind of matchup for them, other than obviously the run issues. But when you can commit to that a little bit more, and hopefully keep the ball out of their hands and get ahead. That's the other thing with the running team, right? Is if Zach can put up a score or two early, it does get harder to stay with Rankin. And at least in the way he wants to be, which is run, swing, run, screen, check down. You got to start to kind of look at other solutions. And I feel like that's what we saw with Edmonton last year. Justin Rankin was just as good of a player, just as dynamic, and he had an amazing year, but Edmonton couldn't convert all that to wins because they were getting behind. They weren't really able to start and then just roll with him all the way through games. So if Winnipeg can do that, they'll be all right.
So here's where I'm at with this game. Early in the week, FanDuel had plus 4.5 with Edmonton. I took it because I thought Edmonton's undervalued so far. They're 2-0. Now it's actually, there's been obviously money coming in on the Elks because it's down to 3 right now with the current number. But this is handicapping 101. I've been doing this now for 10, 15 years. Handicapping 101, Nate, because the situationals are real good on paper for Winnipeg here.
Yeah.
They're at home for a second straight game after a bye week, after a loss against Hamilton, extra time to prepare, a pissed off team, looking to bounce back, off a bye, which is usually an advantage. And here's Edmonton coming in, playing Saturday at home against Montreal, short week, Saturday to Thursday turnaround. The situationals look real good for Winnipeg. But the eye test for me, watching as much as I have so far, tells me I like what I'm seeing a lot more from Edmonton than I'm liking what I'm seeing from Winnipeg right now. So that's what makes it tricky. Where do you land is essentially who you like in this game. Do you think the situationals outweigh the fundamentals? If you think that, you like Winnipeg. If you think the fundamentals and the eye test and what you're seeing so far in the first few weeks outweigh the situationals, which are extremely strong on paper for Winnipeg, doesn't get stronger than at home again, after a home game, off a bye week, off a loss. That's usually smash spot. Right? Bounce back spot. But that part of me says Edmonton looks like the better football team through the first. And I got real concerns about especially the run defense against the running back that looks like the best running back in the league at the moment. And that's with all due respect to Brady. But right now it's looking like Justin Rankin's the best running back going right now. So it's tricky, but at above 3, I still like Edmonton. And I said it already last week. I was on the over in each game. It's 9-1. It's 62 points per game. Until I see odds makers push the totals to the high 50s or 60s, man, we're going to keep looking at overs in this league, and that's what I'm going to go with as far as the total. But are you going to make Winnipeg final decision for you?
I'm slamming it in. I'll get my app out after once I get out this call as well, and make sure I put my money where my mouth is. But yeah, I would take Winnipeg at -3. For sure.
I get it. Situationals are strong. Yeah. They really, really are, and that does concern me as someone that's on the Elks plus the points. But like off a bye, off a loss, at home again, that's usually a spot where you want to back the team in a spot like that, so strong with Winnipeg. And by the way, the short weeks, how did you find it as a player? Like what Edmonton's going through, Saturday to Thursday turnaround, and with some travel, not huge travel, Edmonton to Winnipeg, but still travel and short week, and it takes a practice day away.
Yeah, I think it's like moderately an advantage or not. Obviously, later we get into the year with banged up bodies and injuries, that's always going to be an issue. Like
That's
it
what I
helps.
always thought, because
Yeah.
I've done the NFL shows for years here done in September, and I always
Yeah.
say September, October. If you're going to play Thursday night football, you would rather play that Thursday night football Amazon Prime game in September and October than December, when you're mangled and half the team's injured and you played a shit ton of games and you're banged up.
Mm-hmm. Without a doubt. I mean, but outside of that, I think the other big advantage, honestly, in the staff, in the offices, those extra days that coaches get to kind of run through probabilities and watch that extra film. I think quarterbacks, it makes a difference for. But for me as a receiver, especially as I got older and kind of had my vet status, it didn't matter too much, because it was like, no worries, coach, I'll be there day 2. Like, you do your thing. I'm sitting over here and I'm icing anyways. So I liked having less mileage, because you didn't have that practice sometimes. For me, like I felt fresher almost, because practice is a lot, and especially if you're starting, you're doing your own teams and stuff like that. So it's never an advantage, but I think that sometimes it can be overblown.
Yeah, no question. I'm going to be on the Justin Rankin over rushing. They finally bumped it up. I couldn't believe last week it was 59.5, his rushing yards number, which was way too low in the rain too. I said it's going to be a run-heavy game plan anyway, because the weather sucks, and he ended up flying way over that number. So now they have adjusted it a little, 84.5, but I still think he could end up going over that, because and Winnipeg's run D has been really, really a problem so far. All right, Friday night football tonight, Toronto and Saskatchewan. Saskatchewan 4-point home favorites, 56 the total here. So I cashed a ticket with the Argos last week against Nate's former team, the Ottawa Red Blacks, and I just think there's. I mean, at the end of the day, it was around a pick 'em -1, to basically pick the winner. And I said at the end of the day, a little more stability with Toronto, because Mike Miller is the new head coach, who was the quarterback coach before Dinwiddie left. And while Dinwiddie's had success and he's won a Grey Cup with Toronto, he's still bringing in a lot of new faces on this Ottawa roster. Mm-hmm. It's still new coaching staff. Jake Mayer, new quarterback. And at the end of the day, I've got issues with Chad Kelly off the field, obviously, for some of the shit he's done. But on the field, I gave him a quarterback edge over Jake Mayer last week. And I said, and you could see it, Kelly. Kelly did have a bizarre fourth quarter. Like, he's rolling. He's doing whatever he wants. He has 4 touchdowns. He's playing great. And then all of a sudden, I almost lost the game. They were able to hang on. But, boy, the 4 interceptions and having Kelly just drop back and throw it so much in the fourth quarter with a big lead, I couldn't believe that nonsense, Nate. I really couldn't.
You live by it. You die by it. And you got a guy that you trust. Sometimes it's too much. Sometimes it's able to overshadow the logic, which I respect in some ways. I do love a good gut, but at some point math works, because math is math. Probabilities. I thought the same thing, but I mean, this game is going to be a shootout. That's for damn sure. I think there's going to be points. I mean,
both of these guys have been throwing way over 300. I mean, I don't hate the passing yards over for both of these guys. Yeah. Trevor Harris, my guy, of course, and Chad Kelly. Chad Kelly, I think he's hit 400 yards in both games so far this season. So and plus the Saskatchewan secondary last week didn't have Nelson Lacombo, didn't have Roland Milligan Jr., who is amazing, and that was the one position group on the defense for Saskatchewan that came back intact from last year. They had everybody back in the secondary, but they only had one D-line starter back. I believe it was Mike Rose. Everybody else was gone. So it's a totally rebuilt, revamped D-line. It's a totally revamped linebacking core, because A.J. Allen, I think C.J. Rivas is the other that they had last year. They're gone from last year. So it's a brand new D-line and a brand new linebacking core. And prior to last week, they had the secondary intact. And that's why I'm impressed that they still won last week. And it's a credit to them, because I actually liked Calgary a little bit in that spot last week, knowing the secondary was depleted too, the one position where it was a lot of returning faces from last year. But they were able to still get it done, find a way. I was disappointed with Calgary's defense, to be honest, the way they played. But you give Saskatchewan credit. But now Saskatchewan's laying more than a field goal, and a defense that in the first 2 levels, there's a lot of new faces. And they've kind of been hit or miss against the run. Dedrick Mills did run the football very well, especially in the second half against Saskatchewan. But you'd expect them to struggle against the run a little bit, right? With so many new faces on the defensive line. And we saw that. But now we'll see about Milligan and Lacombo, if they're able to return in the secondary. Because if they don't, and you got to face Chad Kelly and a quarterback that's been able to throw the football well, it's still a pretty good receiving core. That's been what's impressive for Toronto. They've had all these other guys stepping up for them this year, like a Kevin Mattel, although he got injured last week. We'll see if he plays.
Mm-hmm.
They've had other guys step up for them at receiver. They lost Dejon Brissett, too, who's now in Calgary.
Yep.
And they've still been able to throw the football. So I'm kind of with you. I think it's a shootout. I think you can only look over this total. From a side perspective, with so many questions on, like, they got questions at linebacker and D-line already because there's a lot of new faces. But if they're going to be missing a couple stars, especially Milligan Jr. is an incredible player in that pass defense, in that defensive backfield. I would say he's a top 2 or 3 player in the league, Milligan Jr., as far as defensive backfield in the secondary. If they miss him again, I'm a little bit worried about that for the Riders. So I'd lean Argo. And I'm unbiased. I'm never going to say bet against the Argos every week just because I hate their fucking guts as a Ticat fan. I'll never do that. I'll always shoot it straight. I will give you an honest opinion. And my honest opinion here is I'm leaning to Toronto plus the points. Nate, what do you think here? Argos Riders.
I like it. My only feedback or my only hesitation would be if Metal's out. I just think he does something pretty unique in that secondary, especially just knowing how the ratios work and things like that. I don't know the depth chart well enough to know who would step in for him to keep that ratio, or do you flip the ratio? I've seen it happen a lot where people think, okay, well, our star Canadian at this position goes down, so we're going to flip the ratio. But then all of a sudden, chemistry changes. People start playing in positions they didn't practice in the whole time, which, a football player is a football player. But I have seen that kind of work in odd ways before. So if Metal's out, I think that's definitely a big red flag to worry about. I think -4 is steep based on even just how Toronto's going. If Toronto doesn't get, I think it was a field goal or a punt block in Toronto, they almost beat the Alouettes as well. It's a good football team. They handled Ottawa pretty. There was never a moment of that game that was not in doubt. Not that that's saying a lot right now. So they're good. There's also new head coach, team's a little bit shifted. Sask is Sask. It's going to be bumping. That the passion is back after the Grey Cup. I like Sask. I would be nervous about -4 though. So the points,
I could totally see this being Saskatchewan wins, but by 2 or 3 or 4.
Yeah, exactly. I like the over for sure. If I'm allowed to take a money line, if I'm allowed to cheat and say money line, then I would maybe say Sask money
take
line
whatever you want on this
with
show,
an over.
Yeah, I would. Like I said, if I were to look at Saskatchewan, I would put them in a money line parlay. I don't feel, like I said, with the defensive concerns, and that's the biggest concern. And I like Corey Mace is a defensive coach, and he'll figure it out. Like, they'll have a good defense in week 10. But my point coming into the year, Nate, was Corey Mace, even with the new faces and the totally rebuilt D-line and linebacking core, he'll have a good defense in week 11, week 12, week 14. Not necessarily sure he'll have a great defense in week 1, week 2, week 3. And now if Milligan and a couple of these other secondary players miss again, that would be a concern for me a little bit against the Argo offense, which is why I think Toronto could score. But Saskatchewan will get their points. Make no mistake about it. Toronto's defense is obviously they did contain Ottawa a little bit, and even then contained. They did still allow 24 points, and obviously we saw against Davis Alexander in Montreal in week 1, they really had a tough time against him there. So Saskatchewan should be able to get their points as well. All right, Saturday. Note that this game is not at BC Place Stadium because the World Cup has taken over BC Place Stadium. Kelowna, BC, but it is technically a home game for the BC Lions. The 0-2 BC Lions. 1.5-point favorites here in Kelowna against the Calgary Stampeders. 56.5 the total here in this one. I mean, it was the highest total on the board, and as was the highest total of the CFL season last week, BC and Hamilton, and it still flew over that total. And my gosh, the secondary for BC was atrocious, man.
Yeah,
that's 2 weeks in a row. They have been absolutely brutalized, and I feel for guys like TJ Lee and Gary Peters. These guys have been stalwarts in this league for a very long time, but it looks like they're slowing down. That's what's been noticeable. These have been great players for years in this league, especially for BC in that secondary. And I'm seeing them get beat and beat badly, especially TJ Lee. It's been tough here for him these first couple weeks. And then they lost a couple players in the secondary as well from last year. They need Jackson Finley to step up, and he's kind of been torched a little bit here in the early going, and they haven't stepped up yet. And so and give Milanovic and Bo and the Hamilton offense credit. They smelled blood in the water last week, didn't they? They knew that secondary was rancid, struggling. We saw what Trevor Harris did to them against for Saskatchewan against BC in the first game, and Hamilton picked on them right away. First play of the game, bomb down the field to Keandre Smith, gets behind everybody, touchdown. First minute of the game, and they found a weakness. Nate, they said this secondary can't cover us. They can't cover us down the field. They can't do anything to Kenny Lawler. They can't do anything to Keandre Smith. And they attacked all game long, that BC secondary, and it paid dividends for them.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, this one's interesting. I really don't I guess, with Calgary being 0-2 as well, it makes a little bit more sense. But I mean, because for BC, they lost Berryhill. They also lost Cotoy, I'm pretty sure, on their receiving core. So offensively, they're also
Berryhill, Cotoy, and to make matters worse, Justin McGinnis, who actually is the one starter that did play last week, he's on the injury report now.
Oh, well then.
Justin McGinnis and Keon Atcher they hoped he was going to play last week. He didn't. He's still on the injury report. I'm seeing McGinnis did not practice Tuesday, Wednesday. That's not good. Keon Atcher limited. They're hoping to have him. We'll see about Javon Cotoy and Berryhill, but I'm not hearing great things about. And plus, they signed Hergy Mayala. Mayala just was brought in again because they're running out of bodies. Let's be 100%. Honest. Let's call it like we see it. They're running out of bodies here at the receiver spot.
So this is
They'll
one
be calling Nate Bahar soon.
Oh gosh, I was on the field running with my dog yesterday, so I'm almost there. Give me about 9 months, and I'll be back. But they. I don't see the -1.5 at all, to be honest. I guess it's pretty much it's close. It's almost as close to even as you can get. So which I understand, but I think Calgary, from what I know, is there's no big injuries. I think Mills is playing. I think Clark's playing. I think the receiving core is solid. So
Adrian Green in the secondary is the one you'd be concerned about a little bit. But I'm seeing Jalen Philpott's good to go.
Yeah.
He was on the injury report, but it was just precautionary. Fuller and Arumalade, who was a great defensive lineman. Although last week, I will say, maybe it's because they didn't play the first game against Winnipeg. They did play their first game last week, Arumalade and the other guy, Jalen Hutchings, who they gave the big contract to. And they weren't great last week, but again, it's the first game, of the season. I think they'll be better this time around. And they didn't run the football well at all last week anyway, BC, with James Butler. So you would think they'll control that, the D-line. It's going to be this second, can Calgary's secondary contain this mangled, depleted receiving core? Because I'll be honest, I thought Nathan Rourke, for as depleted as his receiving core was, and Butler couldn't get anything going on the ground. You've got all that going against you. Yeah. I still thought Rourke played one heck of a game given the circumstances.
Great player is a great player. It's that simple. Like I was saying with Trevor, just in terms of being able to check, boom, boom, boom. I mean, that's the first thing. I remember the first time I saw Nathan Rourke play, and I mean, I'm no Nostradamus. I think a lot of people thought the same thing. But just the way you want to watch good quarterback, you want to be able to tell a good quarterback. It's very, very simple. If you watch their feet and their head at the same time, and their head is moving sequentially and it's moving in line with their feet, that's someone that knows how to play the position. So they're gonna be fine offensively. Like, I still like the over as long as we get Vernon Adams A and not Vernon Adams B, because sometimes with VA it's so interesting. It's like, I mean, he's obviously an incredible quarterback, but there's games where he comes out and it's like, this man is cracked the matrix, and there's nothing.
He's got amazing highs and some lows too. Or it's like, where the hell were you throwing that?
It's just kind of this. Yeah, I'm not 100% sure, and I'm not completely sold on the receiving core. I think it's good. I think it's super solid. I don't think it's incredible.
I like Brissett, but after that you got Tevin and I like Jalen Philpott, but he's not nearly as good as his brother, obviously Tyson. But you got Tevin Jones, and then you've got guys that are hit or miss. Eric Brooks, Clark Barnes is out, by the way. I should point that out. Doesn't look like he's going to play. And Reggie Bagleton's not back yet either. He's still on the IR.
Yeah, so I think that's definitely part of it. I mean, DeJohn's amazing. That's my guy. I love him. Jalen's a weapon. He's just a very different weapon than his brother. He's less of the deep threat guy. He's more of the running back. Give him running back, playing receiver, give him the ball in the slot, and let him make it shake. Sucks that Clark's out because Clark has that dynamism to it. Tevin Jones is good. Jones is good, but he's a little bit of a hit and miss traditional X on the big body side. That TO type of like. He might go 3 for 3 for 140 and 3 touchdowns, or he could go 1 for 4 and have one comeback catch. So I think I like Calgary in this game though, honestly. It's funny. My sneak.
I bet BC early in the week, and then I
Yeah.
saw the injury report, and I felt like I wanted to abort the mission after I saw that injury report.
Yeah.
But at my first thought was, look, Calgary lost to Winnipeg, and I got issues with Winnipeg. To be honest with you, last week against Saskatchewan, it's why the final score sometimes lies to you.
Yeah.
Calgary, one of their touchdowns was a sack fumble on Harris that set up a short field, and they capitalized on it. And then one of their other touchdowns was the missed field goal at the end of the half from Alex Hale, returned for a touchdown by Tyreek McAllister right at halftime. If you remove, Nate, those two touchdowns, Saskatchewan probably wins that game comfortably. So Calgary's 0-2, and they lose to a Winnipeg team that got crushed by Hamilton after. And then they lose. Yeah, they lost in overtime against the champs last week, but you remove the sack fumble to Harris that set up a short field for their offense, and then the missed field goal. It's not like VA and the offense had a great game, and they could have lost by double digits instead. So I'm not sure how good Calgary is right now at 0-2.
Yeah, that's fair. I definitely don't think they're world beaters. I think my concern is more on the BC side. Yeah, more on that BC side, and you can put Nathan Rourke back there. You could bring Russ Jackson back from off ice, and it's tough when you don't have those guys you started camp with. Those guys you gave all that money to, right? Especially if Justin's not playing, if McInnes isn't playing, oh boy, where's that ball going? I mean, there's always talent. Like there's so much talent in this league. It's especially the receiver position. I think people would be shocked if they watched, a scout team offense in practice and the guys they've never heard of doing shit that they can't imagine. There's so much talent, but turning that into game day execution is a different thing. It's execution that matters most.
Yeah, no question. Now, I'm wondering about these BC numbers. Well, we know the secondary's been torched. The pass defense has been god-freaking awful. Like, there's no sugarcoating that. It's been absolutely abysmal to this point. But I'm looking at the opposing team rushing yards, and nobody is giving up a fewer yards per carry average this year than BC. 3.6 yards per carry allowed. But I'm wondering.
That's great.
That's pretty good, but is it just because teams are throwing the ball like crazy on you because you can't stop that they just say, screw the run game? We're going to throw it all over the place on your ass because you can't stop it. Maybe that makes your run defense numbers look better than they are, right?
That is definitely a possibility. Definitely a possibility.
Yeah, that's what I wonder about. Is that a phony rushing yard number on them, or can they truly be pretty good at stopping the run? Because we're going to find out here. Because Dedrick Mills is a damn good running back, and Calgary will commit to running the football. And he's had a really good 2 weeks running the football for the Stampeders team. I think he's gone over his rushing yards prop in both games. I would look at that. Dedrick Mills over rushing yards a little bit here. Keep rolling with that. I think you'd want to take a receiver for Calgary, though, as far as over receiving yards, because this BC secondary has just been so abysmal. So maybe it is your boy, Dejon Brissett here.
Yes,
maybe we go really well. Yeah,
I like that call.
He ends up having a good game here for the Calgary Stampede, but very fascinating game. Obviously it's 2-0-2 teams. It's a very important game. I mean, you're not out of it in this. You're definitely not going to be freaking out of it next year at 0-3 when 8 of the 9 teams make the playoffs. That's another story. That's a disaster, but that's another. I'm not happy about that, man.
Yeah,
8. I am not happy about that format next year.
No, it's
8 of the 9 teams making the playoffs. I think if you're going to make that format work, you wait until there's at least a couple more teams in the league via expansion, maybe a Quebec City and a Halifax eventually get a team. You get to 11 teams, then 8 out of 11 teams. I could live with that. But really, you're going to play 18 regular season games to eliminate 1 out of 9 teams from the playoffs? That's absurd to me.
The thing that I'd like to think, just not that I know him personally, but knowing his professional background and how he did with this TV deal and how these things usually work together, and I'll just try to be quick here, is I got to believe that this is one of many chess pieces moving, right? With Stu, in that this happens so that TV deals can see extra games in playoffs, which should bring more eyeballs. And that's happening so that we can then be able to go to ownerships and cities and things and say, look at this extra revenue that's coming through. And that's why this Quebec City, this Halifax, this Kelowna, whatever it might be, this London, Ontario, I've heard, that'd be hilarious being from there. That's why
it'd be a party atmosphere for the home games. I can tell you that.
It'd be fantastic. But I've got to think that it's part and parcel of several different things, which I can respect that. I mean, it takes bold strokes and a brave person to be able to know that you're saying something to the world that they're gonna hate, because you can't give them the whole plan yet. So I got a little bit of faith that, because there's no way that they're thinking this is the solution for the future. This is perfect. It's got to be part of a deeper plan.
Yeah, like I said, for it to work, it would need to be next year, 11 teams. But like I said, we're gonna have 9 teams next year. We're gonna take out 1 team.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, I hate to say, if you're making a betting favorite, great segue, great segue. Because if you're going to make the betting favorite for 2027, which team's going to miss the playoffs of the 9? I hate to say it, Nate. I think the runaway favorite right now is your Ottawa Red Blacks.
You don't need to feel bad about saying that at all. I'm honestly more in many ways, I'm more connected to Montreal than I am to Ottawa in a lot of ways right now. The guys I played with are all there. Davis is my absolute boy. Devontae's one of my best friends. Dedmon. I love Jason Moss. I'd go to war for that guy. And I can tell you before we look at any stats that you should take that 8.5 for Montreal, call it a day, and just close the app. Take that 8.5.
Stole my thunder, man. You stole my thunder here on this one. But yes, Sunday night football CFL style. Not Michaels and Collinsworth. It'll be Smith and Ford or Nielsen and Suter, whoever's going to end up calling these games. Maybe Luke Wilson does the Friday night games
Fridays,
now, so you won't see him here. But Ottawa, Montreal, we got Montreal 8.5 point home favorites, 56 the total in this game. So you basically put it on a T for me, Nate, with this game. And you've been part of this Ottawa-Montreal history on both sides. You obviously played for the Alouettes at the end, but you were with Ottawa before that from 2017, 18, all the way to 2023. Let me reiterate just the dominance of Montreal Alouettes.
I don't know if I can hear it.
On the Ottawa Red Blacks. We are talking 10-0 straight up, 9-1 against the spread.
Wow.
Montreal versus over Ottawa since 2023. And the 1-point spread cover for Ottawa was a 2.5-point dog at home. They lost by 1. So they covered the number, but they still lost the game. You take out that 1-point loss. My God, look at the scores of the other 9 games they lost in this 10-0 losing, or 0-10 for Ottawa losing streak to Montreal. 19-12, 32-15, 29-3, 47-21, 24-12, 19-12. And then last year, 3 games, Ottawa versus Montreal. 3-0 straight up, 3-0 against the spread for Montreal. 39-18, 30-10, 39-28. Ugly for the Ottawa Red Blacks. And now we just see 0-2. There's been, I'll say this about Mayer. There's been glimpses. There's been little flashes of him playing okay. But there's too many bad throws. There's too many inaccurate throws. There's too much hanging onto the football too long, taking a negative play. That's what's happening. I don't think Greg Bell connected on the run game. They thought Greg Bell getting him back last week against Toronto would get the run game going, would get that spark going, and it didn't happen. And what worries me now for Ottawa is not only are they playing, it's been rough. They lost, obviously, to Edmonton, 29-21 the first game by 8. They lose by 20 at home last week to Toronto. And now you're playing a Montreal team that's not only owns you, but a Montreal team, and I know Davis Alexander well. You know him well. Yeah, he's gonna be so pissed off he lost his first regular season game last week. Everyone talked about 13-0, 13-0. Well, now it's 13-1 in the regular season after he lost to his old teammate Cody Fajardo and the Edmonton Elks. A great game that was in overtime last week. He is going to be chomping at the bit to get that taste out of this. I know he's happy for Cody, but he's still not deep down inside. He's a competitor. He's the ultimate competitor, this guy. I'm telling you. I've seen it. I've listened to him. He's been on this show. He's told me about it. He is the ultimate gamer and competitor. He's going to make it look great on camera, smiling that Cody beat him, swap the jerseys at the end of the game, take a photo op there, make it look like, that's pretty good, though. I'll give him this one. But deep down inside, he's burning that he lost that game. And he is going to want to show out here against an Ottawa defense that, let's be honest, it was bad last year. It was bad the year before. It was bad the year before. I can't remember the last time Ottawa crafted a great defense on this team. And in 2 weeks, they've given up 29 to Cody and the Elks and 44 points last week to Chad Kelly and the Toronto Argonauts. So for me, this Montreal laying the points, this Montreal team total over 31.5, I think, is the Montreal team total, 32.5. It's a high team total, but my gosh, they scored 39, I believe, in 2 of the 3 games against Ottawa last year, the Montreal Alouettes. So I think it's Montreal decisively here. It probably over the total as well. What do you think, Nate?
The only thing I might push back on is the total. Just because I know I mean, just being football games against an inferior opponent, sometimes you get out, it's 24-3.
You sit on the lead, right?
And you just kind of
Ball
like, all
control,
right,
run
well,
the
no
ball.
one needs to get hurt here. We're already banged up. I don't need to.
Correct.
We don't need to be throwing Tyson, posts or overs or digs right now. It's like I can almost see there being, if it plays out the way I imagine it playing out. I'm looking at the weather. It looks like a perfectly sunny day. I was going to say Ottawa's only hope is if it rains, by the way, but it's not. It looks like it's going to be perfect out. Yeah, I that's the only thing I wouldn't hammer is the over, not because it's going to be a close game, because it actually might be, they might get licked so good that it's just kind of like,
Milk the clock, get the game over with, keep everybody.
Let's go ahead. Let's go enjoy a nice Sunday night on Saint Laurent, and let's have some fun in downtown Montreal. So that kind of vibe.
They have not had many, off the top of my head, they have not had many Sunday night home games in Montreal over the years at Percival Molson Stadium there. So that should be a nice atmosphere on Sunday night there. But it's a hard track record to go against, right? I mean, Montreal 10-0 straight up, 9-1 against the spread the last 10 meetings versus the Ottawa Red Blacks. It's been utter dominance.
Yeah. It might be the best. It might be incredible vibes. I mean, 3:00, I think Canada kicks off against probably South Korea. We might get
I think it is going to be South Korea.
Yeah,
that's round of 32 World Cup preview show. Although we could do one off the top of our heads if we needed to. But South Korea is likely to be the
beers rolling. The whole crowd's nice and lubricated and ready to go, lathered up, and it's going to be a fun night at Molson there.
Just on a little side note about Canada, they did themselves a real disservice not winning the group, because they would have been off till July 2nd.
Oh, yeah.
No travel, stay in Vancouver, have the country in the building cheering you on at BC Place for next Thursday. Probably an easier opponent, too. Instead, you got to turn around from today, play 4 days later, travel to LA, which takes away from it, and you got to play it. I've seen them. They're a damn good side, South Korea.
Only good thing is good. South Korea plays tonight, so at least we're playing on the same amount of rest, which helps. But yeah, I mean, Kang In Lee is going to do some terrible things to Richie Laryea on the left.
That'll be a tough game for him. I'm not saying we couldn't do it, but boy, we're going to have to. We got to hope like hell the health gods bless something on Alfonso Davies for that match.
And Bombito's got to be playing.
Bombito
can't come off the bench. Yep. Oh, there's so many things. It was such a frustrating game, but. Yeah, I'll digress.
There we go. I know. Actually, we could do World Cup on the spot, but there you go. Even Nate's signing off here on Montreal. It's hard to ignore that. And the Dom. And by the way, I'm just a couple of injury notes before we wrap it up and do best bets to end the show. Stevie Scott's back, it looks like, for Montreal.
That'd be fun.
He's been really good for them.
Yeah.
I was shocked last year, going all the way back to last year. I couldn't believe it when Walter Fletcher was cut. I'm like, what are these guys doing here? But they knew what they were doing, because they liked Stevie Scott. They had this Travis Tice kid, who's like this big battering ram. Reminds me of Josh Ronick. That's the kid. Long time ago in the CFL. It was Josh Ronick, like this big burly white kid, and there he is, just freaking running over people. That's Travis Tice to me.
Yep.
Out of North Dakota, Idaho, one of those freaking Midwest farm
100%.
States, right? That's what he reminds me of.
I love it.
And he is something, Travis Tice.
Yeah, he's
but
good.
To have him now and Stevie Scott, that tandem, maybe both back for Montreal, that's big.
100%. And Stevie's super talented. Nobody should have ever gotten rid of Walter Fletcher anywhere. I know how it's all money. It is. You gotta pay Tyson, you gotta pay Sneed, you gotta pay Cole, Speaker, and all this stuff, and keep Davis. And but man, Walter's special. But Stevie Scott's a super talented dude, and he's big. He's big. You would not expect it. You can't really tell on the TV cup. Like he's a load as well. So they got two big backs that can move. They can catch the ball in the backfield. They're going to be more than all right. I also think the last thing I was going to say in the Ottawa game, I think that locker room's also weird place. You're 0-2. Drew, who's been like the only quarterback to really like throw.
Do you think an element of, oh boy, here we go again creeps in after starting 0-2, especially the guys that have been there for years?
I'm just looking at this, and Aiden Everhart, good receiver, has 18 targets. That is more than 2 times as many targets as Justin Hardy.
I like Aiden Eberhardt, but you're right. I'm watching the game last week. It's like Aiden Eberhardt, the only goddamn receiver they have. What's going on here?
Gino has 95 yards. Justin Hardy has 50 yards in 2 games. It just doesn't make sense. So that's happening. They're probably thinking about quarterback changes. Then all of a sudden they trade Drew, and I guess they bring in McLeod, which is going to maybe put a little bit of pressure on. But to think that the Drew to McLeod, and McLeod Bethel Thompson is one of the top people you'll ever meet in your entire life. One of the nicest, greatest guys on planet Earth. Yeah. But obviously older guy, kind of ish out of it, and it's just that weirdness, like you said, of this, like, oh shit, here we go again. I think Morale is going to be in a weird place. I think they get waxed.
Well, and then and McLeod, look, he's a guy that's had some good years in Toronto, especially with Dinwiddie. I get it. But the Drew Brown trade's a bit of a head scratch. Like, he is really living or dying with Jake Mayer.
Yeah,
like, so far,
odd.
It's dying with Jake Mayer.
It's just odd because I like Jake too. I've heard guys talk about how, like, I don't know him as well personally, but great leader, good dude, all that good stuff. But it's almost like treating him like a young rookie that you don't want the backup to like stunt his growth. Like, no, Jake's grown. He's been doing, like, there shouldn't be this friction. I'm almost like, did Drew walk into the office and like slam, throw a Gatorade bottle at something? Like, what is? It's just odd to me. But again, obviously,
I'm wondering if this trade too is that Dinwiddie's already treating this season like just an evaluation season. Like, it's just evaluate talent, see where this roster is right now. Get rid of Drew. We'll go with Jake. If it's not a good season, we'll blow it up, make changes in the. I'm here for a while anyway. They're not getting. They could go 0-18 this year. They're not firing Ryan Dinwiddie.
No,
he's here for the long term.
Yeah.
GM and head coach. He's running the roost right now here in Ottawa. So I'm wondering if he thinks, you know what, if we have a bad season, so what? He can blow. At least I'll have the ammunition I need to blow this thing up, bring in the players I think are going to make us a winning football team, and go from there. I could see that being the case if this continues to spiral a little bit here for the Ottawa Red Blacks. But that's not going to be an easy assignment on Sunday night with a Montreal team coming off their that loss to first regular season loss ever for Davis Alexander. You think he's going to be in a good mood next Sunday and take it out on Ottawa? So be careful.
He's been winning so long. I started with him his first start. I think in Saskatchewan, I'm pretty sure. I'm pretty sure that was his first start. I was on the field with him. So that's like a full season and a half ago. That's like and in my head, that's
when
like
he was
7
injured
years
for
ago.
an injured Fajardo, of course.
Exactly.
And that's when he did the tap dance down the sideline, scored.
I was on the field. I thought he was so out of bounds.
Trevor and Davis, they are on the show together. They're good buddies. They went back and forth about whether that was an actual touchdown or not. It was.
I was in the locker room going, fellas, I'm happy we won, but there is absolutely no way in hell that was in. I don't know what we're talking about. I don't know why we're trying to lie to ourselves. We won. It's over. You can say it. That was some bullshit. It was hilarious. So, hey, say la vie.
No doubt. They were chirping each other about that. It was one of the funniest damn things ever. But that's that. But right away in that game, Dave, great point about bringing that game up. That's when you could tell there's something there with Davis Alexander, man.
My first day in practice with those guys, I was like, who the hell is this kid? And even just by the way, you could feel like the team treat him as a backup quarterback. It was like everyone knew. It was like, oh yeah. And I could tell the way Moss talked to him. Like, I've seen Jason with a lot of different quarterbacks over the years, and like just the way he would talk to him, their level of like mutual respect, but also like sensei, freaking understudy, just like you could just feel what it was. And then to see it live, I was like, oh yeah, it's rap. It's game, set, match. Like, this kid's not going to let go of this ever. So love that guy to death. It's good stuff. It's so great to see. It's so great to see him succeed. It's so great to see that receiver room succeed. It's unbelievable. I feel like it doesn't get talked about enough how young they are. Like, that team is young. The receivers are young. The offense is young. And it's just like such a credit to Danny and everybody over at that organization, how they built that roster and continue to build it and shift it, but keep it. They're really doing it's going to be a dynasty. I mean that from the bottom. Like, it's impressive. I've seen enough to know that they're locked in. They have it dialed in.
I couldn't let this end without asking you too about the great Anthony Calvillo, who's been the offensive coordinator here for a few years and now has taken over primary play calling.
I know,
from Jason Moss. What do you think of what he's done so far in the play calling and your experiences with him? Because you were on that team in Montreal when he was there. What do you see and how he's evolved as a coach? We know he's an all-time great quarterback, but now as a coach,
he's the coolest dude ever. I don't know how else to say it. Like, he is just the coolest dude ever. Obviously a literal genius. Obviously he's got that fire and competitive in him, but 95% of the time he's that beautiful lake. He's just cool as a cucumber. He's so inviting. He'll talk to anybody about anything. Like, he learns the guys too, what they're in. He's genuinely just a great person. And I don't know if he was always like this or if it was just the psychopath of Jason Moss rubbing off on him, but like scripting up in your first 10 a flea flicker to go deep. I'm so in love with the play. Like, I was like, I was gushing. I didn't realize that he was actually took over play calls. I commented something, and then one of the boys told me that Anthony's calling plays. And I was like, oh my! I was like, well, I love him, so I'm a fan. If I can buy,
you're going to sign off on that move.
Yeah, clearly. Exactly. So no, he's top. He's as great as they say in just about every way. It was such a pleasure and such like an honest pleasure to get to be in a room with him.
Played for the Las Vegas Posse 32 years ago, back in 1994 when he first got into the CFL as a quarterback.
That's a good year. Great people were born that year.
That failed American expansion,
Yes, exactly.
of the CFL. And then, of course, he comes to the Ticats for a few years. And, of course, he struggles with the Ticats. We give up on him. He goes to Montreal, and the rest is history. Typical Ticat tale of woe right there. And then he becomes an all-time great after leaving Hamilton, after we give up on him. But that's another story. Nate, this has been freaking awesome, man. I mean, I love all the guests. They all do a great job, but you do for sure. Great stuff. Before we wrap it up, though, we do always have to wrap it up with best bets. What have you got, Nate, for CFL Week 4 as far as your favorite play on the board? What do you got?
I kind of, as we were talking through it, I kind of like a VA over. This one could bite me in the back. This one could bite me in the ass because obviously it's kind of the riskier one. But like a VA over parlayed with a little over in that game, that Calgary versus BC game. I'd take the Stamps, roll it with the VAs over, roll it with the over on the game, and then just throw those Alouettes in there and then put it all on, close your eyes and have a good time. That's what I'm rolling with.
I'll make sure I reiterate all that with the VA, but I'll make it official for you, Calgary, because I know not all books post those CFL props. Unfortunately, some of them don't. Some of them just for some reason they won't post player props. It's disappointing, but I get it. CFL is not on the radar for certain sportsbook operators compared to what we think of the league. So, but we'll give you Calgary plus the 1.5 here, Nate, for your best bet for Week 4. For my best bet, I'm going to keep it simple here and go with the Montreal Alouettes. And I'm just going to go with the -8.5 on the Montreal Alouettes. I mean, when you look at the margins of victory too, I mean, just last year alone, they won by 21, 20, and 11. 11 was their smallest margin of victory against Ottawa last year. 10-0 straight up, 9-1 against the spread the last 10 meetings. DA in a very, very angry mood after losing for the first time in the regular season last week. So we'll go with the Montreal Alouettes -8.5 against the Ottawa Red Blacks. Sunday Night Football for best bet for CFL Week 4. 20-6, by the way, start to the season for me in the CFL. 77%, so we'll take it. It's been a great start. We'll see if we can keep it going. Nate, this has been great. We'll definitely get you on the show again later this season, but anything you want to say before we wrap it up?
Absolutely. Appreciate you. Keep watching football, folks. That's really all I got. This thing only works when people are enjoying it. So enjoy it, and can't wait to come back.
No doubt. And we will have Nate Barr back. We got Will Arndt in the mix. We've got Rob Vino in the mix. Like I said, we're going to have Manny Arsenault on the show very soon. We're coordinating with the great Emmanuel Arsenault, but Manny is what we like to call him. But he'll be on. We got to get some of the receivers in the mix. It's 100%. Been a quarterback heavy guest.
Come on, we're the fun ones. Don't let those quarterbacks lie to you. They just get paid the most. They're not the fun ones.
That's right. No, I mean we're expanding the roster here. We had Legio on in the off season. Talked a little bit. Of course, kicker of the Ticats. We got Nate here. We're going to have Manny Arsenault coming up. So far, it's been very quarterback heavy. Trevor Davis, Will Arndt. You got to expand the portfolio here. There's other position groups in football.
Try to tell them.
Right? We got to remember that sometimes. Great show. Hope all of you enjoyed it. Make sure you hit the like button on the way out. For Nate Bahar, I'm Ian Cameron. Thanks for tuning in. Enjoy CFL Week 4 and good luck. And we will be back next week for another edition of Ian Cameron's Football Frenzy.